I am here to talk to you today about why your house looks like everyone else's. I'm hoping I don't insult anyone in this video. I'm just trying to give some tips on how to make your house a little different, pump in some personality, some character, because sometimes it's very easy to fall into the trap of just doing what everyone is doing. So I'm gonna try and help you guys out. I think some of the best houses are the ones that are very clearly personal and all of their items are very clearly personal. So I'm just gonna give you guys some tips on how to do that. The first mistake I think a lot of people make when decorating their home is you're not broadening your horizons while finding inspiration. So for instance, if you're only looking at one source of inspiration, such as a designer or an influencer or a certain aesthetic, your house is just gonna lean towards that. And I talked about this in my last video. I talked about how if you're only following one person, one designer, your house is going to tend to look like theirs and not yours. So by broadening your horizons and finding a plethora of inspiration, your house is automatically going to look different because you're not just looking at one person thinking, okay, they have this lamp, they like this art, I'm gonna do all of that. I talked about this last video about how it's completely fine to find inspiration from someone. I've even mentioned in videos how our wall color is literally the same exact one as Matilda Gode's, so completely fine to take from people you love. But I think if that is the only person you're looking towards, person, designer, design group, whatever it may be, then it's just gonna make your house look very one note and not very clear about who you are and what you like in your home. I also think this goes for brands. Like if you really like to shop at West Elm, I think that's great, but I definitely think you gotta mix it up because my furniture is from West Elm, this chair is from West Elm, my couch is from West Elm, but I don't necessarily think if someone were to walk in here, they would think that this room or this house looks like a West Elm showroom. Hopefully not. That would be upsetting. But I think just because you like something, brand, designer, whatever it may be, it doesn't mean that's the only place you can shop at. And if you only shop at, let's say, West Elm, then a lot of other people are doing the same. So your houses are just going to look like copies of each other. It's almost like when you go into IKEA and they have all of those rooms set up, it's just going to look like that. And that could be anyone's house, you know? My goal and what I hope to teach or inspire people is to make your house completely your own. It's completely fine to have pieces from fast furniture places, as I just said, I do, but you gotta mix it with things that are very personal to you. Going along with the point I just made about fast furniture, like I said, if you're only shopping at those places, it's going to become very obvious, especially if you love things from, like, let's say Target, like the Magnolia Home section. I definitely have some pieces from there because they have some great basics, but it can be very easy to fall into the trap of everything in your home is from there. Like their stuff is very simple, it's not really controversial, so I can understand the appeal of wanting to get everything from there because it's easy. I think that's why people like Chip and Joanna Gaines are so successful because it's very accessible. All of the stuff that they make is what the average consumer is going to enjoy. But I think one of their major flaws is that there is no personality to their stuff because it's, like I said, palatable for everyone. Everyone can enjoy at least one of their products, and that's great. It's a great business model. But like I said, if your whole house is that, it's just gonna be very boring. I also think something that is very easy to do, but I would advise you to not do, is getting mass produced faux vintage art, such as the things you see at Target. Like a lot of their art recently by the like Studio McGee line or Magnolia Home, it's honestly like I'll see some stuff, I'm like, wait, that's actually really cute. But literally thousands of people are gonna have that too. And I'm not trying to say this to have like an individual complex, like I have to be different. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it is nice to just find your own stuff and not support primarily mass-produced things when there are so many pieces of art you can find vintage and original. With that being said, I did find a mass-produced piece of art for my mom the other day, this at Target, this like dark floral still life, and I will admit I love it. I think it's very cool. So I do think there is room for those pieces. I'm sure I have something in here that someone else has. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes. But again, you don't want your whole house to be that because literally everyone else has similar things to that. Another thing that I think is very easy to do, but you kind of have to train yourself to not do, is solely follow trends. I think TikTok has made this worse. I literally have downloaded and deleted TikTok and I've made videos. I'm like, I'm gonna start making TikToks, and then I just stop all of a sudden. So I can understand how TikTok can be very influential, and Instagram and every social media platform, but especially TikTok. Because when you're on there, they're like, you have to get this. Literally, run, don't walk. I'm like, that's aggressive. TikTok is especially influential with places like Target or Home Goods or something because it's cheap. It's very accessible to most people. Everyone has a Target or Home Goods near them. So I can understand why it's so pushed. Like, you have to go get this. It's on sale. It's $12. You have to get it. I get it, but also I think maybe take a step back. I always ask myself this question. It's, would I buy this if it was X amount of money? If it was $50 for this piece of art or $100, would I still like it? Or do I like it because it's cheap? You have to ask yourself that sometimes, especially like I mentioned last video with thrifting, and if it's on sale, do you actually like it? Or is it affordable and you saw it on TikTok? Because trust me, I can fall into the trap of, oh, it's really cute and I can actually afford it, I'm just gonna buy it. But then in a few months, you're probably not gonna like it. It'll fall out of trend and you're gonna have a piece in your home that's just taking up space and collecting dust. Another thing that I think is very common, it's revolving your living space around the TV. I went on a whole explanation tangent of our TV. This is our TV. It's just covered by these curtains I made. And obviously, like, our TV is technically the center of the room, but I've covered it so it's not anymore. Most people are going to have their TV at a central point, especially with the seating around it. It just makes the most sense. But I think if you can find ways that don't highlight the TV and the TV just happens to be there, that's great. Paige Wassel did a home tour of this girl who, her house is amazing. I have that video saved to my watch later because I just love everything about it. It's so nice. But anyway, she has her TV in a little cabinet, and you would never in a million years guess where the TV was. And I think that's great because her living room has a TV in it, but you would never really be able to tell. And I think that's really nice. And hopefully, same with mine. I don't think people would come in here and be like, she's obviously covering her TV. Maybe they would. I don't know. But I think if you can help it, having your living space not be centered around a TV is great. Another thing I've noticed that a lot of people tend to do is having all of your personal photos in your house be in very modern frames. And I definitely have some modern frames. Like these two pieces right here are in white, square, perfect frames from Target. But I think if that's every single picture in your home, it's just gonna look very flat. I think frames have a lot of power. Like the right frame can kind of make or break an art piece. I've been talking about this recently on my channel of wanting to get more vintage pieces and more vintage frames because they can add so much texture. And there's another video topic I want to do on this, and it's small changes with a big impact. And that's one of them, is just thinking about the frame around your photo can make a huge difference. So that's another video I will make. And this, I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say it's so easy because it can be a little bit hard to find the right size and all of that, but I would just be on the lookout every time you go thrifting. Another thing that this is like a design ick of mine, the gigantic family portraits. They're like 3 of them hung above a couch. I feel like it's a very southern thing. No hate to the southerners, but I've just noticed it is a kind of southern thing, and it's really unique to me. Do I understand it? No. I think there are far better ways to show off family portraits than very large scale weird rectangles. To each their own. But that's definitely something that I'm like, I feel like there's another way to go about this. Something else that I think can really help add personality to your house and make it stand out from other people's is just upgrading your basics, such as very basic homeware, home decor, like your glasses, your kitchen utensils, things that you use every day, but are very easy to just go on Amazon and get the highest rated one, because I've been there for sure. But I think just taking an extra step and looking for something that's a little more unique is gonna make your house look better. I think if you get everything, every basic from Amazon, like a laundry hamper or an extension cord, like all of the basic things that aren't like fun to buy, searching for items that feel a little bit more you and not just some white plastic thing that you got at Target will make your house look more personal and have more character. Even with things like high chairs, I have this high chair, I forget the brand name, but I'll put it on the screen. I didn't even mean to do this, but it perfectly matches our wall color. And I love that because it looks kind of intentional, and obviously kid stuff is usually not cute, and of course it's inevitable to have kids toys in your house that are not your style. That's just how it goes. Also, this reminds me, I want to do a whole video on sad beige baby rooms. I almost did it today, but I didn't. So maybe I'll do a whole video on that because I have lots to say. But you just gotta do some digging and find things that are actually cute. Another example of your house feeling kind of flat is having no texture, no mix of materials, and no mix of colors. I have a whole video on how to add color to your home, but I mentioned in that video how there's a standard color palette when you go to places like Target, IKEA, Crate and Barrel, places like that. It's very neutral, very safe, not a lot of pops of color. If it's a pop of color, it's like a green or something. And that can be so easy to purchase, but soon enough, your whole house is gonna look like that if those are the places you shop at primarily. So I think it's really important to mix materials, like I said with the frames, looking for different wood tones, different materials, textures, being with pillows or rugs or your dining room chairs. Our dining room chairs have a cane back and a velvet seat that's green, so just mixing those things adds a lot of depth to your space and a lot of character. For me, the houses that I see, whether it's in real life or on the internet, that are just all cream, I don't understand. What I do understand is that not everyone likes color, not everyone wants an eclectic taste. Completely understand that. But I think if your taste is very minimal and you don't really like color, I still think there's a way to do that in an interesting way rather than just having everything be the same texture, same material palette, same color palette. It just looks so flat. And even if you don't like color, which if you don't like color, I don't think you'll like my channel, but if you don't like color, there's still ways to make it an interesting space without sacrificing your color palette. I also think it's important to get different sizes of art and place them in areas that you normally wouldn't. I think I'm gonna go more in depth in this in that video I mentioned earlier of small change, big impact, because where you hang your art can make a huge difference. But I'll just talk about it a little bit right now. I think if all your art is the same size, like I said, with those family portraits that are like weird rectangles, it just looks so boring. There's no hierarchy of art if everything is the same, everything's placed at eye level, there's no interesting placement. It just doesn't stand out. Like all of your art kind of gets lost because the eye doesn't have any interesting points to travel to, and that's kind of what makes a space interesting, is having different like points on the wall and of the furniture that like guide your eye through the space. I also love stacking postcards and unframed pictures on top of each other. I just rearranged our bookshelf, and I did this on this level and this one, where this piece, I don't even know if you can see, but this piece of art and this photograph are not framed. I just placed them there. And I think this adds a lot of depth to a space and personality, especially if you have a ton of old film pictures from growing up or from your parents and you can't find frames for them. I think this looks so good when you stack them up with each other and put them in random places. Like I've talked before about placing pictures in the frames of other pictures. I love that look. I also love a bulletin board. I really want to get a bulletin board for our living room. Eventually, we'll get a desk, and then I want to make like a giant bulletin board to put all my stuff on it. I love that look. That's obviously another place you can put postcards and stuff. I also love hanging things that are not pieces of art. I have this picture saved on my Pinterest of this sailboat hung above a fireplace, and I think that's the coolest thing ever. You don't need to frame it, it can be like a 3D object. I love that so much. I've seen people hang t-shirts or jeans, like lay them flat and hang them up. I really want to do this in my son's room. I love the look of like tiny little Levi's framed. I think that's so cute. Again, you don't even have to frame it. You can like put it on a cute hanger and put a nail in the wall and hang it on that nail. I think sometimes to make your house cool, you have to step outside of your comfort zone and kind of think outside the box, which I get can be hard to do because not everyone is like as obsessed with this as I am. So I can completely understand if it's not that easy. But I think it's fun to train your brain to think outside the box and just view your pieces differently. My last tip is just to use homeware pieces for different reasons than they were intended to, such as a lunch tray for your jewelry. I did this in our bedroom. I have this metal lunch tray that I got, and I just put different types of jewelry in different sections, and I love it. It creates interest, texture, it's organized. This is very easy to do. You can get something as simple as an ashtray and use it for change. It can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just using a found item for a purpose other than what it's actually used for is really cool. I am a big fan of using plates as saucers for plants or putting candles on them, and that's obvious, like a lot of people do that, but I think it's something that is very simple but instantly adds interest to your space, because instead of just getting a regular glass candle from Target, let's say, you can get a nice blue and white plate and put a beeswax candle on it and have it melt all over, and it looks so much better than just a basic candle in a glass container. I think all of those tips will definitely help make your house feel more personal. If you bring in personal items, you're bound to have a space that feels more unique to you. And I think this goes for all interior styles. I am more of an eclectic person. I like color, I like texture and pattern, but even if you're a more minimal person, I think you can still display objects and items that feel personal to you without having to have a lot of stuff. I mentioned this, I think, in my last video, but I really want to do like designing a subscriber's home. I've seen a lot of people do that, and granted, they're much bigger YouTubers, but if anyone out there wants me to help design their home and make like a mock-up rendering of their space, let me know, because I would literally love that. So if you want that, you can DM me or comment. I would literally love nothing more than to decorate your home or give advice, whatever you guys want. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope I helped someone out there. Okay.